If the kids want to hang out someplace, okay. But when they're running in the middle of the street, stopping cars, literally dragging individuals out of cars unprovoked.
Because what I don't want to happen is like, oh no, it's temporary, and then next summer y'all gonna ask for the same thing.
No, we want it permanent. We believe that it's just like drug-free zones, that it's a tool used appropriately, that you put tools in your toolkit.
And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that it helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, we're going to follow up on our story from a few days ago when we talked about Washington, D.C. and the teen takeovers there. And just, you're going to see, y'all. There's an absolutely insane video here. It's hard to believe. It's hard to understand. I guess I have to flash back to when I was a teen, and I guess it becomes a little bit more understandable. But we didn't have teen takeovers. I mean, we had different festivals we would go to where there would be groups of teens, and sometimes things would get rowdy. Sometimes things would get out of control. But we never had anything like a teen takeover where everybody was just going to meet up at one spot at a moment's notice and just go crazy and wild out. We didn't have anything like that. So today in this video, we're going to take a look at how these teen takeovers are causing a lot of problems, even for the National Guard, y'all. If you saw in the coming up, that apparently was the teen takeover and National Guard confrontation. So things are serious out there. You have the local DC leaders who are practically begging. We're talking about the mayor. We're talking about the police chief. They're practically begging the city council, like, y'all, give us the power to call teen curfews. They say that when they had done that previously, things had worked out a lot better. But the teen curfew expired in October and the city council declined to extend it. But now they are considering it again and things are getting contentious. So we're going to take a look at that as well in this video, y'all. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at this crazy confrontation between the teens and the National Guard, y'all. Tell me who you think won. But before we do, y'all, make sure you take care of your money. I'm not going to make this a long one, y'all. Go to Paralegold, PARALEGOLD.com, or call 844-651-8334, 844-651-8334. If you have $50,000 to $100,000 or more in your retirement, protected from inflation, protected from monetary debasement, you're about to retire. Make sure your money's still there and it's still worth something by investing at least some of it in gold. Talk to our partners at Augusta Precious Metals. Go click the link now, get the free information, and protect your precious retirement. By the way, I saw that video on Nick Sorter on X, y'all, in case you want to check it out for yourself. So as I said earlier, the teen curfews had helped to curtail this type of activity, and it expired, I believe it was October 5th. Local leaders went back to the city council. They said, hey, can we maybe keep doing what's working? And the city council reportedly said, nah. But now at least they're reconsidering it, y'all. But things are not going as straightforward as you would expect. I mean, you have the situation where there were no teen takeovers due to the curfew. You lift the curfew or it expires and teen takeovers happen again. Seems like things will be pretty straightforward, but they're not as straightforward as you would hope.
The D.C. Council will vote next week on whether to give the police chief authority to implement youth curfew zones. The council had given the chief that power for the summer months, but the temporary authority expired in early October.
As News 4's Mark Seagraves reports, the chief and deputy mayor for public safety told the council today they want the authority to become permanent.
Scenes like this of large groups of young people behaving badly and at times becoming disruptive and even violent is what led Mayor Bowser to ask the council to expand the police chief's authority to impose strict youth curfews in small defined areas like the Navy Yard, the Wharf, and U Street. But when the Bowser administration asked the council to extend that authority past the summer, council members said no.
So in the recent city council round table, this was just a few days ago, the police chief is literally begging the city council for the power to call these curfews so that they can not only get the teens off the streets, but keep them from grouping up in the first place. I mean, if you listen to her tell it, it sounds like a pure emergency, y'all.
Today, at a hearing on whether to once again grant that temporary authority, several council members expressed concerns.
Curfews are limited in what they can and cannot do. Strict curfews are at best a short-term fix.
Chief Smith told council members there's now been a spike in groups of juveniles causing trouble.
Since this failed in council, every weekend there has been disruptive behavior. I mean, it is unmanageable. I mean, kids running at let's go to 7th and Rhode Island Avenue. It's not about the kids. If the kids want to hang out someplace, okay. But when they're running in the middle of the street, stopping cars, literally dragging individuals out of cars unprovoked, and this man, I mean, clearly just trying to go home, right? And we have pockets of kids conducting that kind of behavior. That's the issue. The issue is the conduct and the behavior. And I will say to you, Councilmember Henderson, that during the a period of time where we had the curfew, the chief of police had the ability to establish curfew zones around the city, that behavior ceased. We did not see it at all.
They talked about this, and you can see the reluctance among the city council to give the mayor and police chief permanent powers to call curfews. It seems like they're willing to give them temporary powers, but not permanent powers. And so that seems to be the sticking point.
During a vigorous exchange between Councilmember Christina Henderson and D.C.'s Deputy Mayor for Public Safety, Lindsay Appiah, Appiah told council members the Bowser administration wants the authority to impose youth curfew zones to be permanent, something several council members oppose.
I had a conversation with you, Chief, and I asked you, do you want this permanently? Because what I don't want to happen is like, oh, no, it's temporary. And then next summer, y'all going to ask for the same
No,
thing.
we want it permanent. We believe that it's just like drug-free zones, that it's a tool used appropriately, that you put tools in your toolkit.
Glad that we're having this conversation on the record.
Yeah.
That is not what the view is amongst council members in that, oh, no, it's temporary. And I'm going to say this now. If you want this permanently, there's work that needs to be done.
So I guess when you think about it, like you can think about it from two different perspectives. One perspective is like, yo, get them teens off the street. Don't you see it was working when you had that curfew? But maybe there's another perspective, right? Maybe there's the perspective of, okay, the city council is to advocate for the residents. The teens are residents, but everybody else are residents too. So not only do the vast majority of teens who are not causing chaos, they all deserve to have their right to be out on the street and to congregate respected, but so do the residents. And the only people who really are causing a ruckus would be a minimum number of teens, but causing a lot of problems. So the city council is trying to walk that fine line where they represent everybody and they don't banish teens from being able to participate in the city just because they're teens. So, I mean, I'm trying to see it from their perspective, y'all. I'm trying to see where they're coming from, and it seems like that's where they're coming from. But they're also giving the DC leaders an opportunity to make the case, which I think is fair, right? It's fair. Make your case. And I think that the DC leaders just have to be persuasive. Like they have to persuade them.
And for some of my colleagues, Councilmember Parker just said, I am apprehensive about doing this on a permanent basis.
We must work together with urgency and do whatever's necessary to ensure that we don't have mayhem, that we don't have people viewing one incident in our city. One can put us in a very different position. And so we're mindful of that. So we'll do it.
I hear you, and you say you will do whatever it is. But informing people, right, the week before a vote, hey, I want to do this with no communication, that is not a communication plan.
So this is just a brief update, y'all. We will be seeing how they decide, which will be coming up next week. This is all with the backdrop of the federal government shutdown. people who, I mean, did SNAP was set to go out today. The SNAP food stamps. I don't know if that happened. I don't think it happened. People are going to be under a lot of stress. People are going to be under a lot of mental strain, not just because they aren't receiving their benefits, not just because of the federal government shutdown, but also due to the atmosphere of uncertainty, right? Of not knowing what's going to happen next. So, we're going to bring you the update as soon as it happens. So y'all let me know what you think, okay? I particularly want to hear from the people who are on the side of the curfew is not the right solution, right? Because they had the curfew, it was working according to the chief of police. They took it away and things started going downhill. So that seems to be pretty open and shut. Who out there wants to argue against bringing the curfew back? Like, even though it seemed like it was working, we should not have a curfew. Why? Okay, but make the case. Let me know down in the comments, y'all. But before you do, please stop. Hit that share button. Share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of your favorite social mediums. When you share this video, you help the channel tremendously and you earn lots of gratitude from me. And if you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. Thank y'all for watching. Love y'all. And we'll see you back in the next one.
So now today you want to talk about crime, and I want to talk about crime too, because what we saw over the weekend was unacceptable, but sadly it was predictable.
Mayor Bowser today reacting to 7 separate shootings over a 24-hour period Friday and Saturday that injured 12, including a 6-year-old boy, leaving one adult victim fighting for his life. The shootings occurred across the city, most of them Friday, and as Chief Smith detailed, many involving juveniles as both the victims and suspects.
If we go over to 50th Place, where we had the juveniles in a fight, initially the fight started at Kelly Middle School between two groups of females. And then what we see on video, very clear images, is a young person, a juvenile, pulling out a gun and obviously discharging the firearm. Yuma Place, what we saw in video, a real-time crime center is really good technology. On Yuma Place, we see 5 or 6 young people coming out of one of the apartments. There is a verbal altercation, exchange of words back and forth. What we see at that point is another juvenile taking out a firearm and discharging it towards that group. Unfortunately, it hit a young lady that was sitting inside of the car. She was not an intended target. Howard Place shooting on Howard Place in Georgia Avenue, where we know based on video observation, there were 2 groups, one walking east, one walking west, passing by one another. What we hear from the witness, the account is that he saw an individual in the opposing group who looked like an individual who robbed him 2 years ago. And at that point, there was an exchange, not necessarily an exchange of gunfire. One individual from the opposing team took out his firearm and he shot at the group that was passing by him. We did recover 4 firearms at that location. And then the incident that happened on Savannah Street in particular with a 6-year-old, where there was a graze of a bullet.
Both Smith and Bowser took aim at the D.C. Council for not extending the chief's authority to implement emergency youth curfew zones as leading to some of these shootings. That authority expired at the beginning of October.
As soon as that legislation or bill failed, the very same weekend, the young people came out. They started putting flyers out and really began to precipitate in that same behavior that they had before. And it's a challenge for us because, as you know, we're short resources. So we're doing everything we can. What we need is a law, legislation, DC code, whatever you want to call it, in place so that young people know that they can be held accountable. Right now, they don't feel like there's any accountability, so they're starting to do the same thing all over again. And it is very frustrating.